Hello my friends, Namaste. I have a short video I want to present to you right now called The Harmonic Basis of Arabic Parts Composite Charts, Jonas Birth Control, and Critical Degrees. I have other videos that introduce harmonic astrology, talk about the history of harmonic astrology. I wanted to show you some fun things, just very cool stuff very quickly, that I mentioned in some other videos and in some papers I've written, but I thought I'd pull it all together here very briefly. Just some fun times and some fascinating things. Okay, so fun time here. What I'm going to do is the key points I'm going to be making in this short video, that number one, harmonics provide a theoretical basis for many astrological ideas that seem separate and unrelated, and that's what's cool. You're going to see this idea appear over and over again in different areas. Two, the related ideas, seemingly different astrological techniques, actually have something in common, such as this isosceles trapezoid appearing. Critical degrees are actually 28th harmonic points. So we see that harmonics is actually behind what seem to be a lot of different ideas. Okay, well, let's look at this. What is an isosceles trapezoid? It's the shape that looks like this. I talk about it in other places, and I have papers on it. But here the Moon-Saturn angle is the same as the Sun-Jupiter angle, so the angles are the same. But interestingly, whenever two angles are the same, also this, in this case, Sun-Saturn angle is the same as the Moon-Jupiter angle. Well, this isosceles trapezoid thing, which is a double resonance, you can't get a single resonance. As soon as one thing resonates, two things resonate. If the Moon-Saturn is the same as Sun-Jupiter, then presto, magic, Sun-Saturn angle is the same as Moon-Jupiter angle. It's a little trick of God that to make everything vibrate together. Okay, so there are automatically two resonances. And this isosceles trapezoid, see, I'm already stumbling over my words here. I'll call it an isotrap, so I don't stumble on all that long terminology. So I'll just call it an isotrap. So we're going to see this isotrap show up in a bunch of places. It shows up in an Arabic part. An Arabic part is the fourth point of an isosceles trapezoid. Here's Sun, Moon, and Jupiter. That's what it is, believe it or not. I have another video that goes into detail on that. So that's pretty cool. There's an isotrap. Where else are isotraps in astrology? The hunt for isotraps, they show up in all kinds of places. There are three ways that they can show up when you compare two charts. The first one that I'll describe is conjunctions and oppositions in the composite chart are isotraps. Did you know that? How cool is that? Amazing. So here's, the red is one person, we'll call it her chart. The purple is some other person's chart, we'll call it his chart. So he has, here's his sun and moon, here's her sun and moon. If they're the same angle, the sun-moon angle is the same in both charts, but out of phase, her moon's ahead of the sun, his moon is behind the sun, then the composite sun, which is the midpoint of the suns, and the composite moons, which I've put in green, are either opposite each other, as shown here, or they're conjunct. So every time you see a conjunction in the composite chart, or an opposition, there's an isotrap. Did you know that? So this is just fun stuff, or just, you know, sort of brain-teasing stuff, mind-bending stuff. Huh? What are you telling me, David? If I do a composite chart, which is this midpoint chart thing, a modern idea, and I see a conjunction, there's always an isotrap, and that means the sun-moon angles are the same in the charts. And furthermore, her sun to his moon, that synastry angle, is the same as his sun to her moon. Are you kidding me, David? How come nobody told me this? I don't know why they didn't tell you. I'm telling you, it's true. It's amazing. It's sort of mind-boggling. So isotraps showing up in Arabic parts, they're showing up in conjunctions and oppositions in the composite chart. Where else do isotraps show up? Same phase angle. Well, same phase angle is really the same as the composite chart, except the angles are the same. Here's her chart, moon ahead of the sun. Here's his chart, moon ahead of the sun. This is used in a system of birth control where this guy, Jonas, what was his first name? Eugene or something like that. Eugene Jonas had this idea He claimed to have done research that a woman would be once a month, for 2 or 3 days, or for a day or so, when the sun-moon angle in the sky is the same as it was when she was born, in the same phase, especially if her, is a time of ovulation. It's the best time during the menstrual cycle. If you combine those two together, high ability to become pregnant. He said, of course, we don't have solid research. This is medical stuff. We should be careful about what we say. We need to have more solid data. He said he had lots of data, and he, it got lost. So anyway, that was the theory. Again, that Jonas birth control or phase angle returns or phase angles, that's actually an isotrap. Not only are the sun-moon angles the same, but the sun to sun and the moon to moon. Of course, this doesn't have to be sun and moon. This could be Mars and Jupiter, any two planets. So, isotraps showing up everywhere. They show up in Arabic parts. They show up in composite charts. They show up in phase angle returns, you could call them, or same phase angles. And there's another thing where the midpoint, her midpoint, sun-moon midpoint, is opposite his sun-moon midpoint or conjunct. That would also be a isotrap. And midpoint to midpoint is used in a system of astrology called Uranian astrology. So in Uranian astrology, when you do midpoint to midpoint, you also have an isotrap. And in fact, those are the three kinds of isotraps you can have between two charts. The composite chart, conjunction or opposition, the same phase angle, and the midpoint to midpoint. The same phase angle, if I go back to the previous slide, is also called a mixed midpoint, because you take her sun to his moon, take that midpoint, and his sun to her moon, kind of weird, but a midpoint between the charts actually results in the same phase angle. Well, I might be starting to fry your brain with the complexity of this stuff. I'll keep it simple. Isotraps show up in all kinds of places, so it's interesting that they show up in the composite chart, in Jonas birth control, in Arabic parts. And the last thing I'm going to mention, not related to isotraps, but just to the idea of harmonics, because in harmonics, we think isotraps are important because angles are the same. But here's another little brain teaser. When I learned astrology in the 70s, we were taught the critical degrees. I don't think all the astrologers teach them anymore, but in those days, they told you about the critical degrees, one of these ancient ideas. And the idea of critical degrees was a planet at 0, 13, or 26 degrees of cardinal signs. That's Aries, Cancer, Libra, or Capricorn. Or if it's at 8 degrees or 21 degrees of fixed, or if it's 4 degrees or 17 degrees of mutable, you're at some critical degree. So if your sun is at 13 degrees of Capricorn, or 8 degrees of Aquarius, or 4 degrees of Sagittarius, which is a mutable sign, you're at a critical degree. Watch out, it's a little tricky. It's a little stressful. You have to gain mastery. It could be tricky, demanding, challenging, stressful, requires self-control and mastery. So these little tricky spots, like a lot of ideas that seem sort of arbitrary and all these different rules, nowadays astrologers sort of tend to drop the idea of critical degrees. A few astrologers still use it, but there's a lot of emphasis on keeping it simple, and God, you're overloading me with so many rules. Well, these rules do get overwhelming, and one thing that helps simplify them is the idea of harmonics, that there's a concept that underlies these different ideas. And the critical degrees are every 12 degrees, 51 minutes, and 26 seconds, approximately. It doesn't even round off to 26 seconds exactly. So anyway, it's about 12 degrees, 51 minutes, if you want to round it off. So it's actually not 13 degrees and 26 degrees of cardinal. It's actually 12 degrees, 51 minutes, almost 13 degrees. And I guess you could take maybe a degree orb either way. And then this isn't exactly 26. It would be 2 times 12 degrees, 51 minutes, which is about 25.5 degrees roughly. Whatever it is, it's a little bit less than 26 degrees. And maybe about a degree on either side is this critical area. So, well, I don't know why they don't tell you this in the books, at least the books that I was given and the teachers I had back in the 70s. They just said, memorize these degrees and don't forget it, because if somebody got a planet there, it's sort of stressed out, and they better get control of themselves, or they're going to they're going to get really stressed by it. Well, they're 28th harmonic points. You divide the circle by 28, you get 12 degrees, 51 minutes, 26 seconds approximately, and they're 28th harmonic points. And if you use harmonic charts, then they're the cardinal signs of a harmonic chart. Okay, so of the 7th harmonic chart specifically. So I could pull up Sirius. I actually wasn't intending to pull it up. I do have it up here, fortunately, at the right size. I'll drag it into this viewing area. And I happen to have here the 7th harmonic of Hank Aaron. Good. So here's the 7th harmonic chart. So if he has a planet near 0 Aries, he doesn't. 0 Cancer, 0 Libra, 0 Capricorn, no critical degrees. But if he did, that would be the equivalent, that would be identical to having a planet at every 12 degrees 51 minutes. You could also do the 28th harmonic chart, and then they would all be near 0 Aries. Anyway, I don't want to overload you with too many technical details, but the bottom point is they are 28th harmonic points. If you use harmonic charts, you already see them in the 7th harmonic chart, and they will be near 0 degrees of the cardinal signs. So you could, give or take, say 5 degrees or whatever you think is going to be appropriate. 7 degrees would actually make sense, because 7 degrees in the harmonic chart, 7 degrees in the 7th harmonic chart is actually 1 degree in the natal chart. Okay, it might be getting over your head if this is new to you, but the bottom line is that if a planet is within 7 degrees of the beginning of a cardinal sign in the harmonic chart, that is identical to being within 1 degree of a critical degree, and it's much easier to see. So anyway, different ideas. There's probably a bunch of other ideas I'm not thinking of offhand. These are a few that popped into my head, and I thought I'd make a little video about fun stuff. Just fun ideas about how things that you think are independent ideas are actually related to each other. So, concluding comments. So this idea that there's a music of the spheres, a vibration or a frequency behind astrological influences, which is sort of the intuition behind harmonic astrology, leads you to ideas such as looking at aspects as a fraction of a circle and isotraps, and then those specific ideas of the additional aspects and the isotraps seem to provide a basis for understanding seemingly arbitrary ideas like critical degrees and so on. So it gives them, a basis in this conceptual model of vibration and frequency. And seemingly unrelated astrological ideas like composite charts and Arabic parts, how different are they? I mean, they seem worlds apart, are actually based on similar concepts. So some fun with harmonic astrology, okay? I hope that was fun, just seeing how these ideas seem to relate to lots of different ideas going on in astrology. And I know that astrology can be controversial, even among astrologers. There's often some disagreements, between different schools of astrology. Just putting those ideas out there, I find them intriguing, I find them useful. You may or may not, but in any case, I think they're fun. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that. Have a good evening. I'm making this in the evening, you can tell, or a good day, or whatever time of day it is for you. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you got something out of it. God bless. Namaste.